What up, TikTok? Hey, hope everybody's having a great Friday. Hey, don't let anything that's negative in your life dictate the rest of your life. Does that make sense? Hey, we all go through some hard times. We all go through some emotional stressors, maybe at work, maybe at home, whatever it may be. Don't let that dictate who you are and how you react to the rest of the things that life throws at you. Does that make sense? Like if you're feeling pissed off and angry all morning or all day, you're going to take that energy and you're going to present it to everybody else that surrounds you, your loved ones, your soldiers, whoever it may be. You're going to use that negative energy and it's just going to make everything worse. Try to be positive. Pick something positive in life that's going really well. Use that positive energy and let that dictate the rest of your day. We can harp on the negatives. We can harp on the bad things that are going on in life. It's not going to help us. It's not going to help us move forward. Stay strong, keep pushing, drive on. Happy Friday.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. Ready to go.
So, I'm walking out of the gas station and my co-worker, who's an old MP, but we still claim him, and has engaged the man in conversation. Not much for conversation with strangers, but he's got the tab. So, as I walk by, I say airborne, and the man responds with, and I quote, "Hoorah." So, after I instructed my co-worker to slash every single tire before he put the car in gear, I look for the biggest rock. As I crow hop to throw it through his back window so he can stop posing as one of us, I actually wake up and realize that the man's ignorance had incapacitated me for a moment, and I was daydreaming. I mean, because in that moment you got two options. I chose the third option and said, "Incorrect. That's an incorrect response." And I kept walking. The man said nothing and he pulled away. So you tell me, what is it, a stolen valor thing? No Marine's gonna have an airborne tab, and no paratrooper's gonna say hidden hoorah. So you tell me, stolen valor?
Hey, y'all, I'm going to work. I left you a note on the refrigerator. I love y'all. I'm gonna go.
Hey, go get dressed. Get ready for school.
You're doing great. I was just tooling around, tooling along. Shit! Bad guy! Stop!
Let me break it down Barney style.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for a job? Do you want to change in careers? Do you want to own your own business? I got the answer for you. This show is brought to you by FleetTex. FleetTex is partnering with veterans with mechanical or electronic experience. FleetTex specializes in on-site deployment of GPS tracking equipment and cameras for fleet vehicles across our nation. Check out what they do at www.fleettex.com. Apply today. Currently targeting veterans living in Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee. Local work and travel opportunities may be available in other areas. FleetTex proudly supports our military, its service members, our veterans.
Buddy, welcome to episode 101 of the Trash Talk Hour. Shout out to our sponsors, FleetTex. Go check them out at fleettex.com. And 10th Mountain Whiskey. Go check them out at 10thwhiskey.com. Type in VTT and get a discount. Special guest today is Brigade Sergeant Major Burke. And today I'm joined by Buddy and Nick. Happy Saturday, everyone.
Hey, is the 101st episode dedicated to the 101st?
To the Screaming Eagles, I figured out.
a little bit?
Why not? Why not? Why not?
It should be, but not the Screaming Eagles of today, but like like in World War
Back in
II.
The
60s,
real
when
Screaming
they did-
Eagles.
Yeah, when they actually were airborne.
Hey, Mike, do you know Keith Bach?
I know Keith Bach very, very well.
Yeah, he's over there in the 101 right now, trying to pretend like to square things away. So they're in JRTC right now.
There's a couple awesome individuals actually up at the 101st right now.
Oh yeah.
Buddy was there. Buddy's pretty awesome.
I was there.
Keith usually watches, but he better not be watching because that means he has a cell phone in the box. You're not allowed to have that.
Ooh,
Ooh,
can't do that.
Keith, hang up your phone.
Yeah.
Make some phone calls, Nick.
Put it away. They're tracking you.
Hey, so as usual, we're gonna kickstart this dumpster fire with another conspiracy that I Googled. Actually, I looked this one up a while ago because I watched a documentary on Bob Lazar, and then I watched him on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I took notes for Buddy again. I know Buddy's taking notes as well. So, yeah, long story short, Bob Lazar was a physicist who used to work at Los Alamos Research Lab. After that, he claims that he was hired by the government to work at Area 51. He actually calls it S4, which is apparently 6 miles away from Area 51 in this like mountain. I don't know the details, I wasn't there. And he claims that the U.S. government has several unidentified flying objects, UFOs or UAPs, and he was hired to reverse engineer them. Okay. So he's doing all these crazy tests on these things and everything. And he's starting to feel like, hey, I need to let the world know what's going on. So he grabs a couple of his
broke.
Yeah, who knows? So he grabs a couple of his buddies and takes them out into the desert at a certain time when he knows that these things are going to be tested and flown. And his buddies go out there, and at this certain time, they see all this crazy shit in the sky, and these things are being tested and everything. And then they get arrested, okay? He gets removed. Obviously, the government claims he never worked there, all kinds of crazy stuff. There is one thing he talks about as well as element 115. Okay, I wrote this down. It's a nuclear chemical that was talked about back in '89 when he released all this stuff. And it wasn't discovered till 2003 and added to the periodic table in 2015. Element 115. So some crazy shit that Bob Lazar talked about back in the 80s. Obviously, the government tried
to atomic weight. Is that its atomic weight?
I don't know, buddy. You got to research
what
it.
That's what.
Buddy just took a science class.
He took a science class. He's an expert.
Yeah. That was really good, buddy. Apparently, the Russians and the Americans discovered it in '03. And then it was added to the periodic table in 2015. So long story short, Bob Lazar, like great documentary. I actually believe in this one. I think it's true because he showed like W-2s. He showed people that like worked at the front gate. Like when he like would get flown in or driven in, they knew who he was. Like he actually worked there. What he saw, who knows? Is it aliens? Is it technology like Nick always says that we just have that we're testing out? I personally, actually, I believe it's alien spacecrafts. I'm just going to leave it at that. And Bob Lazar definitely worked there. Joe Rogan podcast, you guys got to check it out when he goes on there. It's plausible. It's really plausible. So,
what's his name? Bob what? How do you spell it?
Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar.
Lazar?
Yeah. Big documentary. And obviously they try to defame him and talk all kinds of craziness about him, But anyhow,
one more time. Maybe he'll come on.
Maybe he'll come on. Yeah. Who knows?
Dave, it's Moscovium. Moscovium, everybody.
Moscovium, no big deal.
Not a huge
Buddy,
it's not 115. It's called
Sehr
Moscovium.
Sehr good, buddy. So anyhow, CSM Burke, you're first in the shoot. You are our guest. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bob Lazar. If you have, give us your take. Moscovium. Is this guy full of shit? Is he just some mad scientist who, wants to make up some fake stories? Or did this guy actually work at S4 or Area 51?
Well, I mean, did he necessarily work there, or is he just, he did go on Joe Rogan, so is he high on shrooms? I mean, it's hard saying, but I believe that statistically speaking, there's some kind of aliens that have landed on Earth, at some time. When, who knows? What could it be? Is left up to debate, but I think it's just statistically possible. But there's there's some other golden planet out there that's in the golden zone that has some kind of advanced technology. So I think it's completely probable.
Okay, good. I like that analysis, buddy. What is your take?
First thing,
Here we go.
mad scientist. I've never
Okay.
really understood that phrase. Like,
Because they are kind of all crazy, right?
like you will
In a sense.
like are they like what if they're just a regular scientist, but then somebody cuts them off in traffic and they're like, you motherfucker. Like, are they
And they get mad.
forever,
Fucking mad scientist.
considered a mad scientist? What if you're like Dr. Dre, right? Like the earphones, right?
The
And
producer. Yeah.
now you're a doctor of rap. Like that dude's a mad scientist up in here. Like he just mixing beats. Could be crazy, could be angry, could just be really good at hip hop. You never know. Anywho, yeah.
I'm not following the Dr. Dre.
Yeah, I don't
But
get
I like
Dr.
that.
Dre one.
I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, you guys aren't.
Are you trying to throw? Are you paid
you
by
guys aren't
Lazar to
rich.
throw us
You
off?
guys aren't
What is
rich.
that?
You guys aren't rich in the slang of these streets. That's the problem. Like if you're like, yo, that guy's mad dope, yo. Come on, everybody knows that.
But
Gabe should definitely know he was a child rapper.
I do. I know Dre, man. Come on. Dre's a legend.
Yeah, but you know that mad is also an adjective for crazy, or not crazy, but good.
Mm.
That shit was mad whack, yo, or mad good.
No
Just a
cap.
lot.
No
Just like
cap.
lot.
No lie.
Yeah, no
That's
cap,
the
homie.
that's the new
Let's
term
go.
for lying.
say hi to
apparently.
Megan.
That shit's on fleek. Not a huge deal. Anywho, yeah, of course we've gone from horses and buggies 130 years ago, 140
this
years
is
ago,
fair. I see where
to
this
like
is going.
flying at Mach 10.
Mhm.
It's true.
And we haven't really reinvented anything since the 1930s. Like we're still figuring out shit that was invented during the 30s and 40s. Like we're not really reinventing a whole lot of wheels. We're just figuring out what a few people from 80 years ago were talking about.
Mhm.
Just saying, where did they get that information from? Did it just hit them one day and they were like, "Oh my god!" Like Tesla, he
Yeah,
was
that's
just
how it
walking
works.
around one day. And he's
Well,
like,
that's how
"You know
it
what?
works. You just
That's how it
invent
works. You
shit.
start studying.
I'm pretty sure that we could just okay, but we've had millions of people studying ever since then, and we
Yeah,
haven't
but
gone.
not
You know
mad
what?
scientists.
Let's use magnetic field.
I'm not talking
They
about
didn't
the
have
guy.
Nick. They didn't have cars back in the day, so they wouldn't have been mad scientists.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the guy that's studying, philosophy. I'm talking about the guy who wants to, like, he's weird and wants to do weird shit, and then they study, they come up with this stuff.
So, buddy, you're saying it's
Well, yeah,
our
but they
tech-
haven't come up with what have they come up with as earth shattering as like for instance, let's look at this new, like everybody's like, oh my god, we're gonna send a human able probe to the moon again. Have you looked at the pictures of that rocket compared to the rocket in the 60s? It's the same thing. What's bigger? That's the only thing. It's bigger. You didn't invent shit. We didn't make anything new. We're just like, you know what? Let's throw some extra gas in that son of a bitch, and we'll send her up there. Like the ventricular.
Well, that's why one of the
smaller.
research facilities is in Alabama. So that's like some of the crazy
Yeah,
motherfuckers
well,
down there.
I'm just saying. We haven't really done a whole lot. Everybody wants to like puff our chest out and say how advanced we are. We're not much more scientifically advanced than like 10 people in like 1938 Nazi Germany.
That's why we
Maybe that's
stole
because they
it.
keep the real technology from the public.
Yes, I
Right.
like
Yeah,
that one a lot.
Maybe, but I don't really.
The Nazis were looking for UFOs too. That's a whole different conspiracy, but that's
Yeah,
Operation
the
High
movie.
Jump
It's
in
Indiana Jones.
Antarctica. No. That's Antarctica. Operation High Jump. We spoke about that one. So, buddy, what's your take? It's just our technology. It's not.
No. I don't think it's our technology. I think it's someone else's technology, but it's taken us almost 100 years to try to figure out technology that we found.
Right.
Again, 100 years ago.
And Bob Lazar worked there. It's a true story. I mean, I guess it's hard to take from my little 2-minute rant. Like if you watch the documentary and everything,
It was
it's
like
pretty-
4 minutes.
Well,
it went way too
I
long.
mean, who's to say?
Yeah.
Who's to say? You know what I mean? Do they
Yeah.
have roll call at Area 51? They're
Yeah.
like, Bob.
The documentary is pretty intense, like how all that shit works out when they work there and stuff. Like it's pretty, yeah. And he never changed his story either, like the entire time, like since the 80s, or I think the first time he released it was 89. It's never changed. Like,
I don't see why
entire time.
anybody would lie about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Is he
Like,
still
why-
alive?
Yeah, he's still alive. He was on Joe Rogan like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the documentary,
And again, he didn't get Hillary, so
I was
again,
gonna say he never met the Clintons.
he's obviously
That's
not
why
telling the
he's
truth.
still
Because
alive.
if he was telling the truth, he would have a suicide.
That's a good point,
Yeah.
but I think he's got so much. He's written books, and like so many people know about him. So now, if he got like offed, like it'd be, well, I don't know. I guess Epstein
Being
got
like
offed too.
like an Epstein guy.
Yeah, I caught myself on that one.
General Patton, because the general drives himself, he died. It's
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that.
Diana.
I need to go lock my door real quick.
Yeah, the FBI's
Diana?
coming. The
Yeah.
NSA's coming.
Anyhow, I just choked on my drink. Yeah, but
I can go
okay.
with that. I can go with that being true.
all right, Nick, what's your take,
I
brother?
think you're all fucked up. All right. So, and again,
Wow, off the top rope.
yeah, real early, right? Because again, we try to oversimplify our critical thinking.
Go back.
Right?
What?
Oversimplify our critical thinking.
Okay,
Simplify.
simplify.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simplify.
Hey, listen, he invented a new word. If we didn't invent new words, we wouldn't have a language.
Exactly.
I
Mike's
mean,
got it.
True.
All right. So I just invented something.
You got to patent
Okay.
that one.
And then
Nick.
as soon as I put it on Wiki, it's official.
It's a word.
Okay.
Boom.
So
True.
all you gotta do is add it to it.
Nowadays,
Yeah,
there are a lot
so-
of words that are, yeah.
But we give the government too much credit. And I always say this, right? Like it's just there's no way they can keep that a secret.
Mhm.
There's just no way. Right. And again, when you talk about things that actually get leaked and then people end up dying, because that's what happens. Right. You just don't do it. There's two things. You don't go after the Federal Reserve, they'll kill you. Right. And then you don't actually leak real information, they'll kill you. Right. It's just what's going to happen. But I guess what I would say is, to Buddy's point about not inventing anything, is like right now we're all on a Zoom call. All right, and we're going to about a 200 million reach. Okay,
Ooh,
and
can I get this one? Can I get this one?
Al
Who was
Gore invented
Wi-Fi
the internet.
invented
We all
by?
know this.
Who
all
was
right? We all know
Wi-Fi
that.
invented by?
We all know Al
Who
Gore
invented
invented the
Wi-Fi?
internet. Huh?
Tesla.
Who was Wi-Fi? No, it wasn't invented by Tesla. It was actually brought from
Aliens.
over from Germany, from Nazi Germany, and the biggest person that helped bring Wi-Fi around was God damn it, it's the actress from
Heinz or
Blazing
Klaus.
Saddles.
No, I
No,
don't
it was
know.
actress
It was
from
Germany.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. Oh.
Greta Garbo
Go
or
with like
Gaber.
Fredericksburg or something. I don't know. Like
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
make
Anyway.
just make something up and sound confident,
Yeah.
like you're at a board.
But anyway, that's all of
I don't know the
all of
answer to
what
that
we're-
question at this time. I will research it and get it back to you.
Yeah.
All of what
Are
we're
you
using
sure?
right
100%?
now is all technology. You just proved my point. It's all from 1930s and 40s.
No.
Wi-Fi is from
Wi-Fi is not the technology that we're using, unless you are using Wi-Fi. It could be hardline
Where's the
internet,
Bluetooth going?
right?
Where's
So-
the
Diedelhelm,
going?
Austria.
That's it.
Diedelhelm, Austria.
but the point
the
is,
guy
is
invented Wi-Fi, apparently.
Al Gore invented the internet. We all know this. Like this is fact. Okay.
Yeah.
And so again, he might be an alien. You never know, because only an alien would say something that crazy on live TV and while running for president. I don't know, and then still almost win. Why? Because the other aliens were voting for him. Okay, it's that simple.
The reptilians.
Yeah, I 100% do not think that the government is hiding aliens or reverse engineering technology, because I don't think they're capable of that. They're not capable of keeping.
Well, who said they? Okay, they're not capable of keeping it secret.
Not at all.
Right.
Not
I
fucking
thought
at
you were
all.
saying they're not capable of reverse engineering it. Like,
Well,
how do we
well,
know?
you're right.
How do we know if they've
They're not.
accomplished it or not? Like are they
But
doing
you're-
it or are they not doing it?
But your point was proven. They aren't capable of keeping a secret.
They're not. No,
So
but
says Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar
Who told
again.
their-
And the Pentagon leaks,
And then
which
Bob
they're not
Lazar-
even leaks. They openly came out and said,
Bob
"Hey,
Lazar is writing all these books. He's got to make money. That's all he's doing. He's just trying to make money. And that's fine. But no, I said I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with that we haven't invented anything like in the last 50, 60 years. Not at all. How about like the new non-plastic straws? You ever have those in California? Huh? You think about that?
Yeah, but
Genius.
those weren't invented.
all the turtles are safe now."
Are you saying that straw technology has come a long way?
Has come long way.
All I'm going to say is that's spoken like a true alien. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
I'm covering for him.
Exactly what I would think an alien would say.
Yep.
Burn to the straws.
Yeah, and you know, it's just the weird things that come out that amaze me with technology, and yeah, that's how science works, buddy. And as a mad scientist,
How?
which is why they disprove things. They try to
Explain
disprove
to me how
things.
science works.
All right, that's why we kind of lost what science was about during COVID when we kept saying science, follow the science. Well, you know, science is supposed to argue it. Science is supposed to disprove things, right? You use math and logic to prove things. Science is the art of disproving things. So yes, scientists, especially the mad ones, they take a bunch of stuff that's already in place and they disprove it. They attempt to. In that, when they're doing those experiments, they come up with new shit. Like, oh man, I didn't know this would work. Yeah, right? And that's how they come up with stuff. And I always bring this up, especially during COVID, right? You know, malaria, it's literally Latin for bad air. And it's not transferred in the air. But that's just the way that the medical field back in the day, which was the smart guy in the village who could like say 5 words, that's what he said, right? And it's really not even in the air. And the same thing with the cholera outbreak. They thought that in England, they thought it was in the air. It wasn't in the air. And some guy who was not an epidemiologist figured out where it came from.
Technically, malaria is in the air. You get bit by a mosquito.
Yeah, it did fly. It did transfer through the air. You are correct. So, but yeah, I'm just saying that I think that, you know, we're discrediting our scientists, you know, and our smart people that by saying that it's aliens. It's just people that are trying to, you know, disprove one thing and they figure out something else. Right. And so, yeah, technically you can, you know, straw argue that like the way Buddy does, saying we haven't really come up with anything new, but we have. So,
yeah, they say in 1947 or 1948, when the Roswell crash supposedly happened, like a lot of technology skyrocketed after that too. And they're saying it's because of that crash. I'm just adding to what Buddy was saying earlier, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Name something that we've invented recently. Even our
Elon Musk is definitely an alien.
Even our education system is just regurgitating information. It's like how many people are doing like Einstein, where they like drop out of school and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna think shit up for the rest of my life. Theory of relativity. Boom. Thought it up. Here you go. Boom.
Well, I can think of one thing that was invented recently, and they're giving us free stuff to talk about it. So that's a good one. It's LifeVantage, right? Those guys, right? It's the NRF2 warriors that we had on the show.
Oh, yeah.
They sent you a bunch of samples, so you got to drink it.
It tastes really good, by the way.
It does. And then we get a discount, but it's good for energy drinks, and they got hangover pills and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, the energy drinks are pretty good.
I took those last night, by the way.
And they were all West Pointers, so that means they're really smart, you know.
That's what I don't have this morning.
They came up with that stuff.
Disagree.
Yeah, that's another conspiracy. But yeah, again, you know, we've invented lots of things, buddy. Lots of things, right? You know, just like, you know, like a Chinook helicopter.
Nope.
We didn't invent that. That was aliens.
Not recently.
Not recently.
That was Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci
did the helicopter.
Da Vinci started talking about it, but we've had helicopters.
Turns out he was on shrooms, and then somebody was like, "Hey, maybe we can actually make that work." And then we did.
Since when have we had helicopters?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you just think about stuff like that. We invented that.
Yeah, but you're not disproving my
point. How about
like
even back in and this also goes back to the, you know, the argument that we have some kind of complex where we think people 1,000 years ago couldn't be smart, right? And it's like, no, they were. Like
they were real smart.
That's the whole pyramid theory and all that stuff.
And the Romans building like the Colosseum.
Oh yeah, the cathedrals,
even all that stuff. You know, they have roads that still exist. And I always make that joke. We're in America. A road lasts about 5 minutes, you know, and there's like 6 potholes in it. And then, but the Romans Italy still has roads that have been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
All right.
Turkey's got a bridge that's baller that the Romans built. It's like a couple thousand. Well, not a couple thousand.
I actually saw that recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's lots of little things that, you know, we figure out and that we invent to help things and to fix things.
You really got him
name a
triggered,
thing.
buddy.
He can't name a thing though. Like he just keeps saying the same thing without saying anything we've invented.
Well, because you're going to say that if I invent a new way to do something, i.e. how to treat something, or if I find out why something's happening, like, I don't know, just a funny, like off the wall topic thing is my wife was doing something as a marine biologist in Hawaii, and they figured out that there was a skin disease on the seals, like the monk seals that are protected. That was
The Navy ones or
the monk seals.
That's probably gonorrhea.
Yeah, not Navy seals. Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of close. It turns out that the feral cat problem, the feces from these feral cats was getting into the water, into the coral, and was causing these viruses, this skin thing on these monk seals. So again,
why I don't like cats.
Did we invent cats? No. Did we invent what their feces does? But no, we were able to figure out. And now we're able to invent a new treatment because we have that. So yeah, they used thousands of things that already existed, but they invented a new way to treat it.
Yeah, you're also you're misconstruing figuring out how things
You can't
work.
spell that word. You can't spell
Probably not.
construing.
Anyway, but I got autocorrect. It's cool. I just have to spell it correct enough to figure out which of the words that autocorrect gives me is the right one, which sometimes is actually pretty
How about
difficult.
that thing that got invented in the 80s that gets all the peanut butter out of the jar? All right. Did you see that
A
thing?
spatula?
No. Spatula doesn't get it all. Doesn't get it all. But they used the technology of a spatula and made a better one. So, right. They didn't invent the spatula, but they invented something better.
Yeah, we're like the.
How about my Honda
BASF
Civic has
generation.
freaking station, like it's a fucking C-130 Juliet. It's got station keeping equipment and it only costs $18,000. Or you press a button and it stays in the lanes. Was that not an invention?
Yep, that right there with the ability to sit on an airplane and fly through the air. Probably pretty close. Being able to hang your suit and the majesty of powered flight. Yep, you're exactly right. Yep, with the same technology that we used 100 years ago.
100 years ago.
It was a pretty good dumpster fire. A little light, but it was good.
Yeah.
We kickstart the show.
But then again,
Anywho.
it is what it is.
I just think it's funny that cats were shitting on seals.
Right. Exactly. So
where's that
it
even
has
coming
to
from?
be an
It
alien
literally was a thing,
it has to be
apparently.
an alien that comes down and says, "Hey guys, you guys are researching the wrong shit here. It's actually cat shit."
Yeah.
Okay? So it obviously it was an alien, all right? Because no reasonable, logical human would think it's cat shit, right? So
Just another reason I don't like cats.
Exactly. They're killing seals. They're killing seals. Right. So somebody posted a funny thing on VTT official about that, where this guy's getting into like a bar fight or whatever, and he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass," and he's like, "Hey, like I don't have it's in a car accident, not bar fight, a car accident." He's like, "I don't have any insurance." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you then." He's like, "Actually, my son does though. He has money and he trains dolphins." Right. And so then they go, "Well, all right, we'll call your fucking son. I'll beat his ass too. You better pay me." Right. And so he calls his son. He's like, "Hey, you raise dolphins, get your ass over. Your fucking dad owes me $6,000. Right. And so all of a sudden, about 12 guys show up in a truck and they kick the shit out of this guy. Right. That's starting this old man. He goes, "Dad, I train SEALs. Right. Navy SEALs, not dolphins." Right?
Oh,
it was a good one. It was a good one. All right.
Yeah, well, much like any other. So I was scrolling through the social media the other day and listened to this former Navy SEAL with his fucking whole face and hand tattoo fucking cool guy thing going on talk about how the hydraulics on a C-130 busted, and like he was like, "I was grabbing parachutes and throwing them to the back. They were just getting hydraulic fluid on my fucking. I'm not dying like this. I'll jump out of the back." And I was like, first of all, the story you're telling is not even close to plausible. Secondly, it's a C-130, you fucking moron. Look above you. It was like the flaps were out. This was out. The landing gear wouldn't come out. Like, you could literally have, you could see the wires moving. It's fly-by-wire on purpose. So that if it gets shot, like, everything you're saying is stupid as fuck. I honestly believe that SEALs get, like, the last portion of Buds is like, "Hey, guys," like Marcus Luttrell is teaching it. And he's like, come on, guys, everybody get in. this is how you tell a bullshit story. Like, it's gonna be fucking. You're gonna need this for when you write your book, all right? But this is bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I'm out to snow. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit.
We had a couple of seals on the show, right, Nick?
Yeah, we had the one that was whatever team's out on the East Coast, and we asked him why he's not in any movies, and he goes, "That's all for the guys on the team on the West Coast." But
he has like a hemp company now or
CBD,
something.
yeah,
CBD.
CBD
That dude was cool as fuck.
Well,
like,
hell yeah,
legit. Yeah,
the CBD.
But he did act like a seal. He's all showing us his abs on camera.
Yeah,
and
taking
shit.
his shirt off.
Come
and all
on,
kind
bro.
of stuff. He just had,
Jesus.
But then again, we actually found the truth out about Navy SEAL training when we were at Coronado for the fifth principle and doing for the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. We were out there, and those guys have off on the weekends.
Yeah,
anytime you have the weekend,
and they butt our shirts, so
Yeah, it's like, are you really like special operations? Like you had off on the weekends. Like what's going on?
You sent Natalie over there, didn't you? I remember.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
that was good.
Yeah. No, speaking of the page, it's kind of what helped me out with my book of Burrow for today, and it's about therapy. And I talked about how when I retired in April, that it took him about 4 months to actually get me to see a psychologist. And with the El Paso VA, yeah, you guys suck. Right. And the first one they sent me to was like this kid psychologist where there was a bunch of like immigrants running across the border getting tackled and people screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck is this place? Like I thought I was walking into a place to go die. But no, I just, my shrink who I got now, she's awesome. Okay. And she broke something down for me the other day. And it was weird because it was right along the lines of the post that's getting a lot of comments on it. It's a lady who she's friends with a spouse of a retired guy who has anger management problems. And she was asking for advice. Dave, you saw the post, right?
Yep. I remember
and she was asking for advice. And I got on there and people started arguing with the big girl, which is never really a good idea. Right. And I'm sitting there and like, hey, look, I'm glad that you're concerned, but you in no way should approach this motherfucker unless you have some kind of report that you're not telling us. I was like, you do not say a fucking word to this guy. I don't care what he's doing. All right. That the spouse is confiding in you because she trusts you. Right. And, maybe you're her outlet. As soon as you go talk to this dude, right, you just ruin that for her. Right. So it's like, don't do that. But it rang similarly close because, we as guys and, maybe even females, they can comment on it. But, we have that generalization that we don't have problems as guys. Right. Like we're strong. Right. And we don't need therapy. We're not supposed to show our emotions. Right. And again, we're in this new time, this new world where we can't generalize. Like, why generalizations exist? Because there's statistical data to back it up. Right. And there's a generalization that's most likely that's it. That's what medicine is. When you go to a doctor, they generalize based on your age, based on your overall health, based on what else is going around. They generalize what's wrong with you, right? And then if it need be, they find out more. But the point is she asked me, what do I want to get from this? And I said, I'm really angry with my kids. And I said, I never really used to be real angry with my kids. I go, I'm like, please help me. Right. And so she went a way that I didn't. She's a psychologist, right? So she did, she started to psychology me, right? And she's like, hey, talk about when you get upset with your kids. And sure as shit, I'm talking about like my legs are shaking a little bit, like I'm starting to get, a little anxious. And she goes, talk about what you loved about so much about the Army. Right. And I started talking about the Army and I got real calm. And I didn't even realize, but she started writing words down and she was writing security, trust, and then, brotherhood and purpose. And she's like, all those things in the Army that met what you wanted. You're a confident guy, you're successful, all these things you didn't have to worry about. because you had your brothers to your left and right that were taking care of that for you if you were ever going to step out of line. And then she makes an arrow to PTSD. Right. And she goes, these are all symptoms of that. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's what's been beaten into you in the Army for, 18 years, was that you could rely on these guys around you. You could make mistakes and your battle buddy was going to pick you up. She's like, now with your kids, she's like, where would you rate them in your priority of your life? And I'm like, number 1. And she goes, that's the problem. She goes, you don't have trust that you're doing the right job, and it's insecurity. All right. They're your most valuable possession. And you're afraid that you're not doing the right thing. And she's like, so that PTSD from the last 20 years of your life where you were absolutely calm in the military, doing much more harder shit, but you were calm. Right. And it's like, maybe it's because you're afraid. And maybe it's because you're frustrated. And she's like, anger is your cover emotion. Right? You get angry to cover the fact that you're afraid. Because for the last 18 years, you weren't afraid. You were happy. You knew that when you went to work, you were going to be surrounded by battle buddies. Like, you knew all that stuff. So that was real powerful to me. So I wanted to share that with the group, the people watching, is that. And then I go, can I share this with my kids? And she's like, how old are they again? I'm like 13 and 12. And she was like, absolutely, you need to share it with them. And just share this with them. So I shared that breakdown with them. And I'll give the shrink some credit. That night, my oldest daughter opened up to me about something. Right? She came in, because that was my biggest fear. I go, I'm afraid that my kids won't come to me when they're older because of how freaking angry I get. And that's terrifying to me, that they won't come to me with a problem because dad is going to fly off the handle.
Especially
right?
two girls, man.
Yeah. And so like I said, that's what I wanted fixed. And right away, my daughter talks about a friend she's helping in school who she opened up about it. She started crying, all this kind of stuff. But again, I was hiding the fact that they're my most precious thing in the world, and anger was ruining it. Okay, that was my cover emotion. Right. So that's the book of Earl for today, is go get fucking therapy. All right. Even if you don't think that you need it, go get it. All right. And it's probably gonna
doesn't make you weak. It makes you actually much stronger to say, hey, I got an issue, I need to go get some help. Like, people want to always say, oh, go get help. It makes you. That's that internal programming, man, where it makes you weak.
It's a generalization that
as
a man, you're not supposed to do that.
Which that is the craziest thing anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. It's okay to cry sometimes. I don't give a fuck.
So then the shrink yelled at me because she almost got me. Right. She almost got me. Like, so she had me doing this drill where she's like, I feel this because of this. So fill in the blank.
I've done that one.
Right. Yeah. And so like I was doing it, and it seems elementary, right? But whatever. Obviously I can't control my emotions, so I'm acting like a kid. So I might as well be taken back to elementary school. Yeah. Right. Like, and it's like I feel this. I feel scared because my girls might not come to me. And I started to get choked up a little bit. Right. And then right away, and she's just quiet, she's just listening. And I go, I feel good though, because I just sold suicide intervention training in the 82nd Airborne. I'm gonna get a fat ass commission check, right? and she goes, see, stop that shit right there. She's like, stop. She's like, that you just completely stopped your therapy right there and went right back into like, I was just gonna make a joke because fuck this is stupid.
Defensive mode, like you just said, yeah,
exactly, defensive mode. She's like, you see, so yeah, Book of Earl, go get therapy, right?
And we use humor to deal with the uncomfortable.
We do 100%.
We've been doing it.
Spot
we've been doing
on
it our whole lives. I was sitting down with a police officer, that's doing some work in trauma, and they talked about the dark humor, making jokes about things, and it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and so again, that's it. It's been awesome. I had to wait 4 months to get it, and then the behavioral health specialist I had when I was active at the Sergeant Major's Academy, she was okay, but she just kind of didn't do anything. But it is what it is. So I appreciate it, Shrink. She hates when I call her Shrink, and she watches the show, so I appreciate it. Really helped last night for sure when I was talking to my daughter. But all right,
On a lighter
Boom.
note. Yeah.
On a lighter note, that was good, man.
Yeah.
CSM Burke's been waiting.
Yeah. Well, he has to call you CSM Burke because he's still active.
Yeah, he's still in.
We just call you Mike.
I call him Mike before.
But yeah, don't worry, Dave.
Hey, retirement's approved. I'm getting out in a
He's not coming
months.
down to Phoenix to scuff you up. So, but
my retirement's before your retirement.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I was gonna let Nick introduce you, and then we can talk about all that. So
yeah, we can get into it. And so I'm on this thing called LinkedIn, right? That Dave refuses to get on.
I'm on LinkedIn. I have like 7 accounts though. I just need to
Yeah.
monitor one. Yeah.
Okay. But I follow things that are going around, and I see things that are cool, and just what we do at Veteran Trash Talk is promote veteran-owned businesses. We do it for free. And this is another thing I'm going to whine about a little bit and talk about, as we introduce Mike here, is that, when you support a veteran-owned business or a veteran cause, you have to support it. You don't ask for discounts. You don't ask them to pay you for shit. Like, I just had a veteran come power wash my shit, and I was like, "How much you want?" And I just gave him what he asked for. Why? Because I'm a fucking veteran, right? Like, I don't like, yeah, but how about a fucking Purple Heart discount? No. I'm just like, now if I go to Applebee's, I'm asking for that discount because that food sucks anyways. But I'm getting that shit. Give me that 10%. But no, Mike was recommended to me. He's like, "Hey, check out Always in Pursuit. Check out Legends of the 75th." And we've had a lot of old Rangers on, not too many young ones on. And Mike, you're still a young Ranger compared to the Rangers we've had on the show. But hey, tell us about your podcasts. Tell us about your ventures you got going on. What's the purpose of it? What's the point? And then whatever else you want to talk about. But again, the main thing is we understand that the beret that you wear now is the coolest beret you've ever worn. And I mean, I know you got to defend that because that's your unit. And when you're at a board and they say, "What's the best unit?" you say, "The one you're fucking in." Right. So it's so tell us why this current beret is the best beret you've ever worn. Welcome to the Trash Talk.
Welcome.
Well,
cheers.
I wore the black beret before it was cool. Before everybody had the damn thing. So that's actually where I started at, and I wore many berets and hats since then. But yeah, I mean, so we wear the current brown beret, and we were kind of talking a little bit before the episode. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of different things that goes out about a Security Force Assistance Brigade, but it's simply put, I don't want to draw it out. It is a readiness builder and an interoperability builder for the Army. Like, just cutting through the bullshit and cutting through all the other stuff. Like, we serve the same purpose that everybody else serves in the Army, and we just fill a void that wasn't there. We're not SF. We're not trying to be SF, despite popular belief. We're not.
Are you listening, buddy?
Yeah, you listening, buddy?
I mean, you might want to watch your social media feed.
Yeah, no, I know. But I mean, everybody thinks they're the coolest thing when they're part of the unit. It goes into the same thing that we were just talking about, that the unit that you're currently in is the best thing that's ever existed. You're trying to look. You're
Except
cool.
Sergeant Major's Academy.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. We won't get into that one. That's its own podcast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to be part of this unit, and it's a second time brigade. So my first brigade, I want to give a shout out to 2nd Cavalry Regiment over in Germany. Just an amazing unit. Loved being part of that. But I was getting an opportunity to be a brigade sergeant major, and when you talk about ranks of CSM and climbing through the echelons, brigades, one of those positions where you can really kind of make magic happen, and you can really change people's lives. I know a lot of people say different things about CSMs, and they talk a little bit of shit about what they do, but the entire purpose for a CSM is to be the conduit between the soldiers and the commander, and to make both of their lives better. To make the command better and properly advise him on what's going on within his unit, and then give him advice in there, and to make the soldiers' lives better and cut through the bullshit. Mm-hmm. And so any sergeant major that's listening, if you're not doing that, reevaluate your life. And I'll leave it at that.
Love it. Can I throw that on TikTok later?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do. Yeah. Please do. So I'm not crazy on TikTok, but I'm about ready to get there. And one of the things I'm gonna do is talking about leadership at this level. So, and that's I'm gonna start a 30-day series that's gonna be talking about that. So I'll make sure
I like it.
Let you guys know. But yeah, talking about the podcast, it ties into, Earl, Book of Earl, everything you were talking about, Nick, like it ties exactly into that. There's many forms of therapy. Some of it's, medicine, some of it's talking to a psychiatrist, some of it's just sitting around having a beer or a drink with your friends, or going for a hike with prior veterans, or being part of, RW, Team Red, White, and Blue, or something that I'm currently doing. And I just want to give a quick shout out to them, Veteran Yoga Project. I will make sure to send out the link to everybody, something to check out. They're an amazing program that you can actually get your qualification in yoga as a veteran. Those are all forms of therapy.
Buddy, I want you to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude. Did you just come at me real quick? Do you think that I don't do yoga? Sarge, I've won every yoga competition I fucking
yoga competition.
I tell yoga motherfuckers on the reg.
That's good.
People won't even let me in their yoga studios because I'm so good. And I talk shit.
That's fact. I have seen him get kicked out of a yoga studio. I don't know if that was the reason, but I have seen him get kicked out of one.
I didn't mean to interrupt what Sergeant Burke was talking about. I just had to throw that in there real quick.
No, I'm just wondering how he won a yoga competition. Like, I'm trying to, what the...
Yeah.
Like, how did you win a yoga competition?
He downward dogs like a mofo.
Yep.
I go downward dog and bark at motherfuckers at the same time. Come at me. I'm a competitive yoga guru.
Michael Samora in the chat says, awesome philosophy for CSM. And then there are yoga comps. Yeah. So.
Shit, yeah.
Zamora's on the chat thread.
Yeah. We'll follow up with you later, Zamora.
Did he just touch my toe?
Anyway, back. I got him fired up about yoga. Look at
just over here yelling.
Excited.
Isn't yoga supposed to relax you?
Yeah, not
get you
supposed
to.
Find your zen.
Do some yoga, buddy.
I think Buddy missed the point.
Just meditate for a few minutes, buddy. Back to our guest.
No. Go back to yoga. The actual the worst PTSD I've ever had has actually been in yoga. You ever heard of Brigham yoga, where they crank up the temperature to 130 degrees?
That hot yoga?
Yeah, they made me put my head between my legs. Nope. I had to get up and leave. Like, it reminded me of being in the back of a striker with a military working dog that just, farted. Yeah. And I couldn't do it. I had to get the heck out of there. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Damn. Anyway. So back to the point about competitive yoga. There might be a business opportunity there, buddy. I don't know.
It's like the it's the new CrossFit.
It's the new CrossFit. Okay.
Yeah. If you do CrossFit yoga and you're vegan, quietest people.
Game over.
Yeah, they're the absolute most silent people you'll ever meet. They have no idea what to talk about first. They just don't know. They're so confused. They're like, should I tell them about plant-based protein, or should I tell them about my WOD, or should I tell them about my new downward dog pose with the side leg, bro?
Yeah, or that you drive a Tesla.
Ooh, wow!
That's an add-on. Yeah,
they are pretty.
That makes you an alien. That is actually exactly.
All right, so coming back to therapy, podcasts are too, and there's a lot of them out there that are veteran-run podcasts, or where they talk to veterans about a million different things. And so I started a podcast when I was at my previous unit, left that unit. We started it kind of during COVID, so it really kind of made sense. And people were like, hey, start a new one, start your own. So we started doing that. And when you're a veteran, you're going to be biased towards veterans, but we try to throw in leadership principles, talk about life, talk about trauma, many of the different things. I did a 2-part special where I talked about some of the traumatic things that I've had to overcome in my life, and methods and techniques and everything else that I use to kind of overcome all that stuff. But there started to be a trend. Every time I'd have a Ranger on Always in Pursuit podcast, I'd get inundated with emails and messages and everything else, like, hey, you should have this Ranger on. Hey, you should have this Ranger on. And pretty soon, just sitting around talking to some friends someday with my wife, I was like, if I just had Rangers on, it would be a Ranger podcast. And boom, the start of an idea. And so what we do with Legends of the 75th podcast is we sit down with people that are members of the 75th Ranger Regiment.
So real Rangers.
What's that?
Real Rangers.
Real Rangers, yes,
Yeah.
real Rangers, yeah. Gotta talk a little shit. And we think of any unit, within the Army. There's people that stand out within those units, but obviously in organizations like the 75th or even SF to a certain degree, which is a little bit larger of a formation, there's people that have been in that formation for so long that everybody knows their name. Like everybody's either been on a mission with them or been in some kind of training exercise. Like, there's some story that they have, they can relate with that. And so we just started, sitting down with some of these legendary individuals and just talking to them about their time, within the 75th Ranger Regiment, not only so that we can capture their stories, because there's nothing that exists like that. There's different kind of, podcast, even Ranger podcast, but no one's sitting down and saying, hey, tell me about your time from, beginning high points, covering the wave tops in an hour and a half, and what it meant to you to be part of that, and some of the struggles and, things you've had to overcome, because, also being part of that organization is difficult at times, especially when you talk about the deployments and some of the things you got to do on, on deployments. And, it's going great, but it is, tying it back to what you just said, it's a form of therapy. People are connecting with both podcasts, but definitely with legends. That's a niche kind of audience. And it doesn't just apply to people in the 75th. There are people that are interested in the organization as well. And they're just reliving these stories, and they're, talking about them, and, they're hearing from these people that they haven't been connected. And that's really kind of the main point, is we want to reconnect them with these people that they, for whatever reason, have kind of lost contact. Even with social media, we think with social media that everybody's connected, but it's not true. Like, they won't reach out to them for whatever kind of reason, or they just, for, a million different kind of algorithms, they haven't actually been able to find them, so we reconnect people. And we're building the business. We're kind of in the phase one of the Legend of the 75th brand, but eventually, we want to have the website, the blog that captures Ranger history, but we also want to be able to provide support to, people in the 75th that are trying to reconnect, need help, or want to go to a reunion of some time and they just don't have the financial means. We want to be able to provide a mechanism for them to be able to do that and be able to do that financially.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys need a shirt guy, just let us know. We got Gruntworks and VTT's got you covered.
I've always told people, like, I've hit the trifecta. Retired, Buddy hasn't yet, because he was allowed to have a beard, but when he was in, but
Buddy had a beard for the last 3 years. Yeah,
no, I did have a shaving profile in the Army. So, like, anyways,
you did.
I grew a beard. I sell T-shirts, and now I work to sell things to the government. I hit
Typical
the
veteran.
I hit the trifecta of what a veteran's supposed to do.
Yep.
Now you just have to get an old pickup truck and put some OIF, OEF.
I gotta let him out real
Thank
quick.
me stickers.
So, Mike, like you mentioned it about the 75th being a little bit smaller than most other organizations. Where do you see your where you can help the most with the 75th guys? What's your main goal with it?
Our main goal is capturing the stories, reconnecting, but then also telling the oral history. And there's a portion of that also, I believe, we capture the lessons learned. Because there's we talk a lot about, I don't want to say we talk tactics, but we talk about, things that we did overseas and how they had a larger impact. And I think there's going to be lessons learned that future Rangers, that stuff's just getting lost through time, that they're going to be able to go, but also when we talk about the struggles that some of these Rangers are going through, we've talked about, hey, getting help and everything else, is a sign of weakness, and it exists in every population in the veteran community. But the other thing is that, they get to hear from people that they really look up to, Rick Merritt, like literally Rick Merritt, like Sergeant Major Rick Merritt in the 75th Ranger Regiment. He did 8th Army. He worked up at 10th Mountain as well. That guy's nickname was Legend. Like, that was his nickname, was Legend. And he talks about, some tough things that he had to overcome. And, so individuals, some, specialist or sergeant that got out of Ranger Regiment that's struggling right now can go, well, if that guy was struggling with it, then I guess it is, not a sign of weakness that I'm struggling through it as well. I'm going to go get help for it. So try to kind of encourage that as well.
Do you know a guy by the name Guff?
Guff? I don't think so.
We'll talk about it after the show. I don't want to say his name on the show, but he does a lot of good things that. No, I'm serious. Like, no, it'll be something that you could maybe have him on the show and then on your show. And then,
okay.
And then talk is his name Guff?
That's his nickname.
Oh.
I think I do know who you're talking about.
You probably do.
I think I do. Yeah. He retired as a sergeant major, right?
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So he's trying to find a way in to get and help out for the guys in Ranger Regiment as they get out and transition and doing all that kind of stuff.
Oh, so, okay.
He's like, and that's what we do at Veteran Trash Talk. We just link people up because we have this big community now where if like I know somebody that is trying to do the same thing, it just doesn't have maybe the same idea you do, but you can merge them together and it would be great. So here's something that we learned when we started our podcast a couple of years ago, and we'll brag a little bit. It's done pretty well, and but we decided to incorporate civilians into the mix because as much as some of the entitled veterans hated it on.
Oh, they hate that. Why are civilians?
Why are there fucking civilians here? Well, I don't know. Maybe because the veteran blowing his fucking head off lives in a neighborhood. Yeah. Did you ever think about that?
He was getting out of the army. Might be that civilian's neighbor. You
ever think that civilian might he's obviously not going to talk war stories with him, but maybe the neighbor's like, hey, I've been watching this Veteran Trash Talk. Like, you should watch it. Tell me what you think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe it happens that way. What would a civilian and or a non-combat arms person or ranger benefit from listening to Legends of the 75th?
There's stories. There's stories that are shared, throughout time, and by military people, but then also civilian people. We have this thought as veterans that we're the only ones that suffer trauma, or we're the only ones that have PTSD. Like, there's bad shit happening all over the world all the time. Like, and I live in Columbus, Georgia. I'm actually
the triggers are completely different for everyone.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's the actual combat.
That's the actual.
That's how you pass RASP. You actually have to go and raid 3 drug houses in Columbus.
I can't confirm or deny that. But so what's the appeal? Going back to your question is one thing that we talk about that is a underlying theme between Legends and then also Always in Pursuit podcast is the reintegration of veterans and then also the civilian and military divide and how we bridge that gap. We talk about the greatest generation. Okay, sorry. Gonna go on a tangent. I guess you could call it.
Go for it.
It's a dumpster fire. You do
the floor is yours.
The book of Earl now / Mike. Okay, so we talk about the greatest generation coming up.
Copyright.
All right, fair.
I'm gonna call the legal. I'm calling the legal team right now.
But we talk about the greatest generation coming out of World War II, and yes, okay, they fought in a war, they defeated Nazi, they defeated all that stuff, and they stabilized the world. Okay, they did all that stuff, but why are they the greatest generation? It's actually they're the greatest generation because of what they did afterwards. The economy that we have in the United States coming out of the Great Depression, the Great Prairie, debacle and recession and everything else that led up to the Great Reset, the Depression, then World War II, and then afterwards was the largest movement in the United States, economics that we ever had. And it was the largest stabilization that created the middle class. And that's where a lot of our stability comes from, the United States of America. That's actually why they're the greatest generation, because they came back from a war. Some of them took advantages of, the college, that they could go get educations, better themselves, then better society, or they went, they worked in their hometowns, they started small businesses, they did all this different kind of stuff. So when we talk about the GWAT generation, why are we going to be the greatest generation? Because we do something similar. And we can't just do it with veterans. Okay, great. We're promoting veterans. I love that. Okay, we need to be veterans, promoting veterans, supporting veterans, all that different kind of stuff. But the other thing that we need to do is we need to be working with our civilian counterparts to create the next level of X, whatever that might be, and it could be a lot of different things. And we've got to figure out how to communicate and talk the same language so that we can be able to do it. And I know that was a lot, but that's also an underlining theme that we talk about with Always in Pursuit. We talk about it as Legends as well. General McChrystal, General Votel, Sergeant Major Merritt, and there's a few other individuals just had, Master Sergeant retired Kevin Nelson, on.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was. Kevin's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we talked about is how are these guys, because Rangers lead the way. We all know this, it's one of those things. Yeah. It's, it stands the test of time. You can't argue it. You can't debate it. It's just a given truth, so you can get it tattooed because it'll last forever. Sorry.
Show me your shoulder, Nick, with the tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I joke. But my point being is that, how are they going to continue to do that after service? Because we all have a lot more to do after we get out of the Army, and how are we going to continue to propel that forward?
Awesome. Yeah. And that's something that, again, that we when I say we actually we have to schedule, we'll talk about their show day, but we got to reschedule Trotter because we're all going to be in New York next weekend.
Yep.
With the Ultimate Sacrifice Foundation. And I get the privilege of speaking at that. And so for
God help us all.
God help you all.
I'm
well,
just
the thing
kidding.
is this is a big event, costs a lot of money, and they wanted to see our speeches beforehand. And I'm like, you guys don't know the big girl. Like, I'm gonna write you the nicest speech ever, but that's not nothing. I'm not gonna say any of it. Right? Like,
did you do what we talked about when they wanted to see your speech? Just send them A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah.
Is the alphabet on there? Just send it to them. Yeah.
And
whatever.
Again, it's the community.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I'm really going to talk about there is if you want to fix something, the community has to get involved. Everybody says, well, why can't we be like the America on September 12th, 2001? I don't know, because that was a national event, and then you had a national community come together. People realize how big America is. So when I say diversity in a community, that's maybe in some cities that's represented by 150 countries, of background, right? So I like how you say that. I got to get to the point of it, but I like how you say that about involving civilians and making sure that people hear the stories. Give us if you could give us your favorite guest you've had on Legend of the 75th so far.
Ooh, favorite
guest. Tell people how to get to it, and then listen to it.
Yeah. So
this might hurt some feelings, but you got to do it. I'm putting you on the spot.
No, I mean, if I'm talking from a personal perspective, it was Sergeant Major retired Hugh Roberts. That was my favorite guest, and the reason he was my favorite guest is because I got to finally clear the air about him thinking I was a piece of shit.
That's what I need. I need Perez on the show for that.
This is good.
When I was
why did he think you were a piece of shit? What did you do?
Because he probably didn't kill somebody when he was supposed to.
No, that's not true.
I have that experience.
That's Perez. Shout out to Perez.
That's Juan.
That's an inside joke.
Well, there was a parachute training that we were doing in Idaho, and long story short, I burned in my 240.
Oh,
yeah. It was
now I understand. That's all you needed to say.
There's no explanation. I've jumped to 240
wait a minute, though.
I don't know. All right.
Was that the Jump Master, the JMPI?
No, it was. Believe it or not,
saying.
1950 was dry rotted.
That was Nick or Buddy's fault. One of those guys, Jump Masters. They are doing the JMPI, making sure everything's good to go.
Was that when the new 1950s came out though? Because
it was a very old one. No, I was at E5.
Well, we did a couple of jumps where we burnt in a whole battalion's worth of 240s because they were supposed to double stitch the 1950s and they didn't. So when dudes lowered them, they just went.
Bye, Felicia.
I didn't even get that far. It caught on the edge of the C-130 and completely
was gone after that. Oh, so it was a weak exit.
Oh.
Well, okay, that's fair. It wasn't a great exit.
According to Nick, I know about weak exits because
Dave is 100% a weak exiter. So he's not judging you. He is just speaking from experience. So
when every jump is a white jump or
I launched Nick's career. Jump. Not Ranger School, not I launched Nick's career.
I took over. So
little backstory behind Dave. Every one of his jumps has 7 Daves in them. or 7 days in them because they're all weak as fuck.
Yeah.
There were like 9 people that got fucked up on that jump, but we're not even going to talk about that because
nine
the
out of
story
like
is good.
5,000, but yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
The odds are on your finger. Yeah, you're good.
Anyway, back to you.
Somebody died that day too.
Yes, it was a fucked up jump, bro. Like long story short, I was going down head first and my leg was caught up in the riser and I'm just going down head first. I'm like, oh, I am fucked. But I was able to like pull my leg out and then I fucking slammed down and partially tore my MCL. And I was a platoon sergeant. And then Nick like ended up taking over and I was out of the fight for like 3 months.
And then you never got the job back.
Yeah. And then what? That's not how.
That's not how any of
how that worked at all.
No.
How that worked at all.
10% truth. Yeah. And then I left and then Nick, made it happen and great mission and all that good stuff. And now Nick's, retired and everything, but yeah. But anyway, back to you. You should have said that you hit the side of the bird.
Yeah.
With the 240.
Well, I got to be truthful. I'm not gonna lie.
We don't rewind these shows or edit them, so you're screwed now. You just let it out
there. It's all right. I mean, it is. I'm giving up the fact that a lot of my things. So. But anyway, so there were some other things that kind of happened on the jump. So when we finally got to sit down on this podcast, and we got to talk about a bunch of different things, I just broke off, and I was like, all right. So when you were my CSM in 275. This is what happened, and I want to tell you the whole story. I want to tell you what actually happened because he pulled me off, into his office. Young Corporal Burke. I think I was actually a corporal. I don't think I was a sergeant. Because I was a gun team leader, so I would have been a corporal. And I got to clear the air, and he's like, "Okay, I don't think you're a piece of shit anymore." And that was like the greatest thing I'd ever heard in my entire life. Like I've been carrying that for 22 years. 22 years. I've been carrying the weight of that on my shoulders, and I finally got to clear the air with somebody that I looked up to and respected and everything else. And he said, "You know what, Burke, you're a good dude." He didn't say that, but that's the way I took it.
What he really said was, "I don't give a fuck about your excuses." And what you heard was, "You're a good dude, Burke." Yeah.
So how do people watch and find your podcast?
Yeah, so you always learn lessons in podcasts. So when you talk about an exclusive podcast where you got to pay to listen, it is a little bit difficult to find. But if you search Legend of the 75th, you'll be able to find it on Google, or you can find it on any of my social platforms. Mike S. Burke, or you can even search Legend of the 75th on Facebook and LinkedIn, and you'll find it as well.
Awesome. Yeah.
And go ahead. Oh,
no, you go ahead. Tell Megan we said hi. Tell that dog to put his ears down.
Bro, this dog today has been nothing but
see trouble. The ears went down. See that? There you go.
You've met him already. Yeah. But what I like the most, and are you retiring soon, or are you staying in, or?
Yeah, I retire in January.
Oh, wow. But what I like the most is, especially when it comes to because Nick and I have spoken about this. We've had several brigade sergeant majors who are like, "Oh, I'd like to come on the show," and then they don't show up, or battalion sergeant majors because of the political factor. So I like what you're doing, and especially talking about issues and everything and bringing it to the forefront, and saying, hey, it's okay not to be okay. It's one of our favorite quotes because I think we need that. Who was the pilot that we had on, Nick, that talked about having
which one?
I mean, one of our first shows?
Yeah.
You're talking about Danny?
Danny, who talked about having issues as a pilot,
the 160th pilot pilot.
Yeah.
But that's what the Army needs. It needs leaders at that echelon to actually talk about and say it's okay. But my question to you is, that's where I feel like Buddy's going to get heated here in a sec, because that's where a problem arises now. Back in the 82nd, back in the day, all three of us served together. Going to sick call in the morning, you were a shitbag. Didn't matter what it was. You're a fucking turd. You're going to sick call and everything. And now,
sometimes go to sick call a lot. I'm wondering why all the time.
Buddy was a sick call ranger.
He was a staff sergeant for 16
But
years.
that's how we were raised. That's why
because he was a sick call.
Yeah, but that's how we were raised. That's how we were raised. But then
he was pretty much the PA.
Yeah,
it's sad that a lot of shit got overlooked. A lot of shit got overlooked because that's how we were raised, and now we've transitioned into a different time. I think leaders now, obviously Nick, being a leader, being a first sergeant, Buddy was in a leadership position. We've transitioned, but does it open up now to like more people saying I feel sick and weak? Like, what audience are we targeting now? You know, like, did I phrase that right? Like, does that make
I don't
sense?
think
Like,
so.
I feel like now,
I
I feel like now a lot more people are like raising that red flag compared to back in the day. And then which ones are really hurt? Like, does that make sense, buddy? I think you hit on this one of the
I think
shows.
the what you're getting at is how do you draw the line between people who actually have a problem and people who know that saying they have a problem gets them benefit X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where
You went on
the
a rant,
problem
buddy,
lies.
one of these shows
Well,
about that. It's
yeah,
hard, you know. It's like
it's annoying that there are 1.5 million people out there vying for the services that are set aside for, you know, X amount of people because they think that they're going to get a benefit from it. Just like, you know, we on one side of the pendulum when we were, you know, growing up in the Army didn't go to sick call because you were seen as weak or you were seen as shamming out or malingering or whatever, right?
Malingering.
But you know, like, well, I mean,
That's
to be
UCMJ
fair,
right there.
both
it is.
both Nick and I have had, you know, had broken backs during our time in the military, and didn't go to sick call.
Salsa buddy was dancing at Spiker, broke his fucking back.
Make sure you hit the green bus route to get salsa on time. Not the
Yeah,
yellow
but
bus
you,
route, the green bus
you know,
route.
maybe
Yeah.
if you didn't have weak exits, you wouldn't have broken your back either. but-
I don't know. I was in Samara slaying bodies when you were
I
dancing salsa and
broke
Spiker.
my back on my second landing of my jump. All right.
yeah,
Not the first
Anywho,
landing, the second landing of that jump. So
But what I'm saying is, like, you know, we didn't go to sick call even when we had, you know, broken backs, broken
even go to the
ribs,
hospital.
broken.
I
Yeah,
got
didn't
drunk.
go to the hospital. Didn't go to hell. Anyway. But the point is, that's on one side of the pendulum where
Yep.
should you
Bell
go to
curve.
sick call?
Say bell curve.
Should you go to sick call if you have a broken back? Probably, right? Yeah. But then on the other side of the pendulum, you know, you have people that go to sick call specifically as private, as specialists, as E5s, specifically to have a paper trail so they can get out after one enlistment or an enlistment and a half and get disability for the rest of their lives, or
Mhm.
you know, whatever. You've got, like, when I retired, I was, you know, clearing and doing all these appointments, and I looked around and I'm seeing like E3s and E4s that are there getting medically discharged, and you're just like, but you haven't been anywhere
So
to
you
get
fell off a
hurt.
truck and got a concussion.
Yeah, you haven't really. Like, I'm not
90% of my
trying to
jumps,
say
I hit
that-
my head hard enough to have a
Yeah, I'm not
concussion.
trying to say that.
Michael Zamora
Or-
says, real quick, buddy. Michael Zamora says it's integrity, but leaders can't do much with those that don't. Well, yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's
and that's
tough.
the point. Because in order
hit
to
a nerve
correct for that-
with Mike there. He was like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's not. It's a hard spot. It's where do you find that balance? Because as a leader, you have to like get the guys that need help. You have to keep your unit ready, but you also have to, like, can't play favorites and be like, well, I know this guy's pretty, like, he doesn't bullshit, and this dude is always like, you know, I don't know. It's just a hard line.
That's why I mentioned that. It's just it's
Well,
really
it is,
hard.
it
Like,
is.
I'm happy that we've transitioned to a point now where, like, obviously we've been in war for the last 20 years, right? So, like,
Well,
a lot of
we were, Dave.
We coddle.
We were. You went to recruiter command.
Our entire
So,
society
like-
coddles people at this
Nick,
point.
you did one more deployment than me. We've been on 2 deployments together.
One more.
One more. Okay, whatever. But we've been at war for the last 20 years. So, like, a lot of issues have, you know, come from that. But now we're, like, out of war. So I think it's a really good, something good to bring up because, again, like, back in the day, PTSD or I'm having mental issues, dude, you'd be done with the 80 deuce, you know, like filling out your PHA when you come back, you know, oh, I'm okay. I'm good to go. But now I'm like actually doing my PHA and I got mental health calling me like, hey, bro, you need to come in. You know, like, yeah.
So
Can I chime in here?
yeah, no, that's all.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to lead into that. So, like, we're going to have to do a podcast on the 5th principle of patrolling with JC and you, Mike, and then Buddy.
And
talk
real
about
quick,
this.
long story short, that's
But-
why I like it. Sorry, Major Burke, that you come on and you talk about this shit openly, you know, because it gives our privates, our sergeants, or whatever, you know, gives them hope, I guess, that people that, you know.
So Mike, talk about that like I saw it trigger you. So talk about that. And then, you know,
Triggered. I'm not wearing a trigger.
No, everybody gets triggered. And triggered's a good thing. It's don't become a pansy about it. So like, Mike, go ahead, talk about that.
Well, it's a complicated dichotomy, you know, that we talk about here because we talk.
Can anybody spell that?
Can you spell dichotomy?
Absolutely not. Not even gonna try it. It starts with a D. That's all I care
about.
about.
With a Y.
Sounds really good though. It sounds really
it does,
good. That's
right?
all that matters.
Yeah, but
If you'd asked me, I'd say
Symptomatic.
it started with a silent B.
Symptomatic. You know, we have individuals
Look it
that
up, buddy.
maybe don't need the resources and they eat up a lot of the resources at the same time, you know, and that's difficult. But, you know, let me pose this in a way in a question. And I'm not trying to get dark, but I am trying to get everybody's attention is how much would you pay for that buddy that committed suicide? How much would you pay to have him back?
Oh, yeah.
More than I have.
Right. Everything I could give. I mean, everything.
Well, it depends on who you're talking about, but like,
well, I mean,
Oh,
no, I'm talking.
Nick's got a point with that one.
You know, I'm talking about your buddy, that, you know, the one that bothers you, you know, and and for some of us, there's multiple, you know, but there's one that, you know, definitely bothers me and it always will. But my point is that like, we can't put a price on it. We can't put a price on the effort that it takes. And my point being is that, and I talked to CSMs about this. I talked to first sergeants and, you know, officers about this is like, hey, everybody's entitled to resources. Everybody's entitled to do that stuff, but focus on the ones that really need it. And in the way that you offer the support and making sure that they're getting the support that they needed. If somebody's just trying to milk the system, guess what? If you're doing your job as a leader and you're talking to the behavioral health specialists and the medical providers, they're going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that.
That's true.
And guess what? There is actually systems. There is ways that you can do it if you do your fucking research to catch them. There is actually chapter 517, okay, which is started by the medical providers. Sorry, I'm
here we go. There's some brigade CSM shit coming. Let's go.
I'm not trying to get into like all the, you know, the weird nuances. There's actually ways that you can catch people that are malingering or trying to milk a system that don't actually have issues and convert it into a chapter where they don't get anything. And sometimes you have to settle and you just get them a general discharge. They get out. Oh, well, it clears the mechanism and allows other individuals. But that's not necessarily always for you to decide. That's why the medical professionals have to be part of the 517.
We're not professionals. Exactly.
But focus on the people and creating the environments where, hey, people go and you know, get help. Yes, that's a good way of saying it. I like to say get maintenance. I don't care if it's physical, mental, spiritual, whatever it is. They do the regular maintenance so that they don't have the issues, because my lower back, my knees, my neck, you know, all these different kind of things that I got issues on. If I hadn't been a jackass and actually just taking care of my body and not try to sit there and, you know, do PT after drinking until 5 o'clock in the morning when I was a dumb private. Okay. Yeah. But if I would have actually,
you mean a ranger.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Paratrooper.
Whatever. Like, Nick, you're broke as fuck now. You got like a battery in your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you would have taken care of those things back in the day, maybe you would have prevented that.
That's a separate podcast. We'll talk about that motherfucker who's
I know what you're talking about.
So I'm not going to talk about it with.
That is true. You're right.
I'm not going to talk about it with another active duty person on, but we'll talk about it next. Like,
but if you would have gotten care, long story short, without talking about it, like maybe back then, it would have prevented where you're at.
Even if they would have chaptered me out of the army back then.
Yeah.
I still would have been in better shape. Like I would have got to take care of, but so to each its own. But keep going. Sorry, Mike.
No, you're good. And you know, we all have our own stories. You know, we all have those things that happen to us. You know, and the purpose of us as leaders is to do better for the next generation. You know, when we talk about this podcast, we talk about any other podcast that's out there, that should be one of their charters. That should be one of the things they're trying to do. We're trying to help people and make it better so that they don't have to go through the stupid shit that we do. You know, the buddy that kills themselves, the bad knee, the bad back, whatever it is, or wasting an exorbitant amount of time on an individual that's just trying to milk a system. You know,
He's using all those major words from the academy.
No, that's from that's when he had to go to Leavenworth. That's where he learned that.
You know, so anyway, you know, so it's just, you know, something to think about.
The War College, you learned that there.
I didn't go to War College. I don't know. Okay, but anyway, you know, I get, and it's
Leonardwood, not Leonardwood. Yeah,
it's frustrating and it's, you know, it's difficult. But if you spend your time focusing on those individuals, you're just going to spin your wheels. Focus on the ones that need the help. You know, I literally just got a text from, you know, one of my guys he's struggling bad. And he's like, hey, I just built a DVD shelf for 640 DVDs. I didn't know people watch DVDs, but okay, cool. You know, like, but my point is this is a staff sergeant in my formation. And he's contacted me directly because I've taken a personal interest in the struggle that he's going through. Do that more.
You like that? Do you like that though?
I love it.
Good.
I would rather answer his text message. I'd rather drive to his house and pick him up than have to coordinate and attend and look his mom in the eye and say, I'm sorry that we weren't there when he needed us the most. Because
that's why I just asked you that.
When we talk about suicide, okay, let's talk about suicide. Let's talk about sexual assault. Let's talk about sexual harassment. The most difficult topics that we can possibly talk about. Imagine the amount of trust it takes for an individual to come to a leader or to another individual, another soldier, Marine, whatever it might be, and say, I don't feel like living life anymore. I'm so without hope. I don't want to be on this earth anymore. Or this traumatic thing happened to me sexually. The level of trust and respect that takes for that individual to be able to come up and do that.
Yep.
Man, that's a large ask.
100%.
It's your job as a leader to establish that trust and that respect so that individual comes and does it.
That gave me goosebumps. I love that right there. That was, yeah.
No, that's 100%.
Why don't all leaders think that way though?
Well,
why is there still
because now we're going to go down that leadership rabbit hole where just because you're in the position, right? You're a leader by position, right?
Yeah.
And now you have a responsibility to understand your own character flaws and traits and all that stuff that goes into being a leader. And if you're not going to improve those things, then same thing, like leader of your family. Like to go back to the book of Earl earlier, like I'm a leader of my family. I need to get better at this.
You're putting in the work to get better.
Like, I need to get better at it. That's my problem. So if I'm not approachable by my soldiers, like Mike's saying, I need to get better at that. Like it's fine that you suck at it now, but like get better at it.
I guess you are a good example, Nick, because in the 82nd, you were a fucking dick to your guys.
What are you talking about?
As you became a platoon sergeant and a first sergeant in Hawaii and all that, I'm sure
they gave me like $1,000 worth of scotch when I left.
Bro, they were scared of you, man.
Fear is a form of love. Read the Bible. But anyways,
you evolved. They can fear you and respect you at the same time.
Yeah. Man, that's
a good discussion there too. Fear and respect, and yeah.
It is, but that's just the way life goes. You grow and you learn, and I can't stand those leadership books or those seminars where somebody's up there talking about how this is how to be a leader without talking about how they learned it, right? And so, like, you learned it because you screwed it up at some point. At some point, you're like, shit, I probably shouldn't have said that to him.
You're literally like speaking one of my love languages.
Yeah.
And also,
are we dating now? Did that just happen?
Yeah.
Like,
it also depends on your audience, what type of leadership style you're going to apply.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But then you don't know that until you fuck it up in front of an audience. We're like, oh shit, that was the wrong audience to do it in front of.
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
I remember Buddy got triggered like a week or two ago about people first or mission first.
Oh, that was last week.
Yeah.
You get triggered.
And CSM,
you got
CSM. I would love, like, Buddy, maybe you could just throw in a couple, what your thoughts were on that. And then
we're gonna do that. Hey, we're gonna do that in the fifth principle.
Well, let's do it right now, bro.
We can do a little prelude, but we'll do the fifth principle. We'll bring JC and Mike on, and then
Buddy, we're talking about people first or mission first. Like which one you would choose.
And again, I'll say the same thing I said last time. It's a stupid fucking question. And the reason it's a stupid
question. No, but Buddy, I do agree with you
Yeah,
with
I
your,
know.
with your answer, but go ahead.
I mean,
Yes.
what, if you want me to answer it?
Yes,
I mean,
go ahead.
calm
No.
down. Like, it's a stupid question because you can't do both. If you had the choice between mission or people, like you do the mission the best way that you can for the people that are doing it. You're going to get both of them done. But if it was a question of mission or people, then we would never send people to do things that could get them killed because that's bad for people.
So is it people or mission? You absolutely can. If you're giving this.
Did you pay attention, David?
I did.
You had your
Buddy's
response ready before.
But
you
no.
heard what he
Buddy's
said.
already talking about like the mission existed. So he's taking mission first and then people. And I understand, Buddy.
If you care
Buddy,
about
your
people, why would
philosophy.
you send him to go die?
Yeah. If you were
Starting line,
were
buddy.
organization
I'm drawing a
that
line right here.
was-
I'm drawing a line.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
Mission.
If you were
People. Take care of people, and then the mission will
But
come.
it's
And
different
it'll-
with officers and NCOs. That's what
You know
that's
what?
what we talk about.
You know what? You can take the biggest group of badasses and tap them on the ass all the time and tell them that they're great. And if you give them and treat them as great as you can, but if the quote unquote proverbial flag goes up.
Real quick, Michael Zamora
of the
says
United
people
States,
is the mission. But go ahead.
Unless you send him to go die, Dave.
people is not the fucking mission. It's not. It's not a mission. If people was the mission, then go grab the top of this hill. Would never be a mission.
They're two different things, though.
Exactly.
I'm talking about the focus. I'm
That's
ta-
what Buddy's saying. It's different. So hey, let's do
No,
another
no,
podcast on this.
no,
Let's
let's
do another
not.
podcast on this.
CSM Burke. I want CSM Burke's take on this real quick. People, mission. It's not the same thing, obviously, but we're at the starting line right
It's
now.
the Army's #1 mission.
We're at the starting line right now.
It's people first.
So after the starting line,
a general signed it.
like right now, we're at the starting line, and we're gonna say mission first. Well, you haven't focused on your people at all. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, that mission's gonna go wherever.
All right.
We're at the starting line, buddy. Maybe I didn't like explain it correctly, but we're at the starting line.
It's kind of like inventing. He doesn't think that we invent anything. So
We haven't. We have.
I want.
No, the aliens did. We already established this.
Bob Lazar, where are you? Like, come talk to us now.
I tried to tag him.
If you have your choice, which one are you gonna focus on? People or mission?
You gotta stop yelling, buddy. You have volume control on, so when you yell, we can't hear you. So
Is that what that is? I was wondering what it is.
Yeah.
It's a stupid question.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It absolutely isn't.
See, Dave does
But
not have
CSM
volume control on, so when he yells, you can hear it.
In that scenario, if you pick
All right.
mission, if you pick mission,
Can we let Mike answer it?
Yeah, can we let Mike get? But real quick, buddy.
Oh,
if you
no,
just,
never mind. We
we're
can't
at
let
the-
Mike answer it. 'Cause Real quick.
We're at the starting line.
Real quick, as if we're not an hour.
This
and a
is
half
for the
in. Real quick.
viewers, Special Forces guy. This is for the viewers. All right.
I think
We're
it's
starting at the.
Did you just get mad that he's better than you?
He's not better than me.
You just called him special.
He's amazing. Like, he's great. I love Buddy, man.
Buddy's the most qualified soldier we've ever met.
He's
Buddy's
not
a
better,
G,
he's
bro.
just different.
Buddy was a staff sergeant when I got to the 82nd. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's good.
We made E7 the same time.
Yeah, yeah, we did.
No, Buddy, you are a G. You are a G.
And made 8 almost the same time. Yeah. It's almost
Well, you
like
had to
we
sign a
used-
deck statement, so that's
Well,
why we made it.
it took me a little bit longer because apparently I choose mission over people all the fucking time.
You chose SF.
Like,
I think it's a little bit of a misnomer. that,
Selfish.
hey, when we talk about people first, it doesn't mean that we don't tell people they're going to have to do hard things or go into harm way. It doesn't mean that. In fact,
No
part of taking care of your people is making them do things that they don't want to do.
Oh, thank
Called
you.
leadership.
What?
literally what I just said. It's a stupid.
Buddy, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm
Buddy.
trying to.
Well, this is what
Jay.
I'm going to blow JC's thunder. I'm going to blow JC Glick's thunder. He says that Buddy and I are arguing the same thing. He's like, Buddy and I are arguing the same thing, but he just says it in an Alabama way, and it's like it's the same, but we're saying the same thing.
Well, we aren't though, because I
We are.
explained
No,
to you,
we are.
buddy. We're
We
at the starting line right now. This is like fresh
It doesn't
start.
even what you're saying.
It
doesn't
fucking
make
does
sense.
matter.
We are all
We
now
start-
dumber than what you just said.
We start with
You get no points, and may God have
You get
mercy
no
on your
points, and may
soul.
God have mercy on your
Maybe
soul.
makes sense in Italian or German, but in English, nothing. Doesn't make sense. being in a
You
starting
got
line
Dave
for a
triggered
race.
now. You got Dave triggered. Look at that. That's
I'm not
the
triggered.
angriest. Dave, you're the face man. You can't make an angry face. Like,
I don't get angry.
Like you sell our shirts.
I
You
just
have to be happy.
create the
So-
dumpster fire with my my little
I don't
puppets.
know. Maybe I just
He's
take
making
it
a
for
stance
granted
by asking
that you
stupid
have
questions.
to do both. That you don't have a choice.
I would agree with you, buddy.
And we're even dumb enough to answer them.
Buddy, I would agree with you.
We took the bait.
Yeah.
I would agree with you,
Everybody,
but there
you
is
have to pick
one thing, buddy. But I would agree with you. But there's one.
thing.
Thanks for interrupting me. But I would agree with you. There's one thing you need to focus on first, and that's your people. Your mission will come if you focus on your people first. I am talking about, oh my God. You know exactly what I'm saying.
I am saying that it's a dumb question. And
How is it a
why
dumb question?
Here's
Oh
why
shit! No,
it's
wait,
a
wait,
dumb
wait,
question.
wait. Becky,
Hold on.
my wife saw your shirt, and so she said,
Brittany, bitch.
"No." She goes,
What?
"Buddy must not realize that Brittany's dad was thinking about the mission first as well."
Shout out to Becky.
Anywho.
Mic drop.
Fucking, she was
No.
kept in a fucking
Here's why it's a stupid
Mission
question.
first.
Hashtag free-
Sell
You
albums,
don't-
Brittany, and shut the fuck up.
As a leader, you don't have a choice to pick one or the other. You have to do both.
you can.
You don't get to fucking
Oh my God.
do both. You have to do both. You're going to get the mission accomplished.
Yes, you have to do
Going to-
both, but you focus on one heavier than the other. You don't focus on them equally.
No, they should coincide.
They exactly.
Okay, and that's fine. That's opinions. Like, good. If I take care of my people
I can
first,
spell
if I take care of
I
my
kind of actually think Buddy's saying something a little bit different than I think it's been being perceived.
Correct.
I mean, I'm sorry, but Buddy, like, I think what you're saying is that there's not one that's over the other necessarily.
Right. They're
You know,
both
so what-
exactly the same.
Let him talk. Mike
fair enough.
okay,
Fair enough.
Can I talk about this in a tactical way?
Yes.
Okay.
Have at it.
You know
You're
what?
retired in
We-
January, so you can talk
Academy.
about however you want.
Dave, pay attention. This is tactics.
So when we talk about the mission,
That's how you used to
okay,
land that
important-
through fucking Baghdad, Nick. Come on, let's talk about tactics. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right. So when we talk about missions, an important part for team sergeants or platoon sergeants, first sergeants, sergeant majors, the important thing that they talk about is contingencies. They talk about risk mitigation. Okay, we are going to accomplish said mission, but what are the factors that can contribute to the death or the serious injury of the soldiers? And they go through the systems check for all that different kind of stuff. And also, with the experience and the resources available, what are the things that we can put into play to try to reduce the risk to the force? Because we're not going to go in going, hey, we're going to lose 70% of our people on this mission. We're like, okay, get the fucking striker, let's go. We're not going to do that. Now, there are certain situations where that does happen, okay, where the risk but the reward is weighed, and it is what it is, and there's only so much we can do to reduce the risk. It's still got a high probability of casualties, and we just got to depend on the individuals, the leaders on the ground, to get the mission done. Okay.
So
Exactly.
Buddy, shut up. Let him talk.
No, great point, buddy. And
Thank
you.
my-
Hear that, Dave? Great
I
point.
appreciate it, Dave. Eat a complete.
Dave's so triggered right now. He's not listening to Mike at all. He just wants to target Buddy.
No, I'm listening to Mike. I am absolutely listening to Mike.
I mean, all my point is that we are going to do whatever we need to do in the mission as leaders to try to reduce the risk so that we take care of our people. But there comes a point where we say, hey, we've done all we can. Now we just have to rely on the resources and the individuals that are with us to make things happen and to take care of their buddy, their buddy and their, that's to their left and right. Now we have to go. But we still have to accomplish the mission.
100%.
If people die, it's unfortunate. We don't want that to happen. But guess what? Part of being in the military is closing with and destroying the enemies of our country in whatever means that means.
Yeah.
As far as your different, specialty, it just is what it is.
I guess maybe I should have worded it a little bit like phases to everything.
Maybe.
No. Shut up, Nick. Let me explain.
Starting line. Do the starting line again.
No, buddy, but hear me out.
Draw.
We're at the first hurdle.
No, this is good. But maybe I should have worded it differently. Like if you're taking over
Maybe.
a team for the very first time, you know, or a platoon, a battalion, a brigade, you know, you might implement people first initially because nobody knows you at that point. Like that's what I was talking about the starting line. Like nobody knows you. You're taking over a platoon for the first time. Like your guys don't fucking know you. Now you want to put mission first. They don't have any trust and credibility in you.
Well, you're also setting yourself up for failure, though, right? Because if you come in and you tell people and you give them this cliche line of you know,
Well, it depends on how you. There's so many.
First, hold on. If you say mission first, people always, or you say, you know,
Hey, Mike, I hope you have
people
time because
first.
we're going.
No.
Good. This is
If you come in,
I just need to go grab a beer.
Yeah,
you're setting yourself up. You're going to disappoint one person. You're going to, because he's going to think for him or her that having Tuesday off because they've got a pedicure or a freaking a massage. Hold on and let me finish. A massage appointment or something that they think is important, and they say, "Hey, I've got this thing,"
Dave,
and you
let me
go,
put it in
"Well,
another
we've got
perspective
a
after he's
mission
done.
we have to get done. We have training we have to get done." They're gonna go, "Well, this motherfucker said people first, and that was important to me, and I'm a people." And then that person is gonna go talk to this person and that person and that person, and they're gonna be like, "They said that they were worried about people, but then I wanted to have fucking."
I never said say anything.
Dave,
rewind the
Dave,
podcast. I'm just
Dave,
saying
let
the
me-
application
rewind the
of
podcast.
leadership.
We're live.
Rewind it. We're
anyways,
not
I'm saying for Buddy, rewind that shit and listen to it.
We're not on a reel.
He did say that.
God just talks. We don't rewind the podcast.
Well, I want to rewind it for Buddy.
Let me put it into a different.
It's the
perspective.
application.
Hey, let me put it into a different perspective for you.
The
all right?
question is dumb.
When it comes to people first and the
It's
mission,
not dumb.
when it comes to people first and the mission, right? And this is why they coincide. I literally had these arguments with old Rob Ryan all the time. I'm sure Mike knows who Rob Ryan is, right? Like I had these arguments with him all the time, and it was cool because he was a full-bird colonel and he allowed these arguments, right? He allowed these discussions.
You want to
right?
foster
And so,
100%.
but we were always arguing the same thing. So, but we were arguing it in different terms, like you guys are doing now. Is when it comes to full spectrum operations, right? Is what we were traversing to.
That's a given, Nick. I like the answer. Yeah.
No. Full spectrum operations, which is something the Army wasn't training for years. All right. And then all of a sudden they had to go back to it. And I'm thinking about units like the 75th, the 82nd, Special Forces. They've always been training for full spectrum operations because they don't know where they're going to go. They don't know what's going to happen, right? They don't know what they're going to do. Okay. And then it comes that they have to do it. And then they just have to do the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you got called to do.
Yep.
And so what I would always argue with Rob about is stop preaching about like, oh, we're always worried about Kazovac, we're always worried about this, we're always worried about that. What happens when all this shit happens? Just fucking tell me as an NCO whether or not I expect evacuation at any point in time in this operation, or do I go tell my guys that, hey, bro, we're fighting, and that's it, right? Like, mark your casualties like a drop zone. That's why we get trained that way. Mark them, go finish the objective, go finish the mission, then go take care of your people. So, like that's the perspective. Right now, what hurts us is social media. What hurts this movement, what hurts the people first movement, and we've talked about this before. And I want Spanky, I want Ice on the damn show. They need to come out from WTF moments, right?
Shout out WTF. We love you guys.
Yeah, and like they've been on the show before, but get on the show again and tell me what the fuck are your admin doing, preaching this people first thing over something that has nothing to fucking do with that, right? Like that's just like that's hurting recruiting. That's hurting it. So you started off as a unit, you started off as a platform that was supposed to help soldiers. All right. Now you're fucking soldiers because nobody's joining up and this motherfucker's got gate guard for the next 3 months because ain't nobody fucking coming in the Army. All right, because all they see on WTF is how shitty fucking the Army is. All right.
Nick, you and I had a long talk about that the other day.
Yeah.
When you have them on, I will give whatever it is I need to give after my retirement to be on that episode too.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll make it happen.
They're awesome. No,
We're
they're
friends
awesome.
with them. We're cool.
They're,
with
they're,
Spiky
they're
and Ice.
awesome.
Like,
I'm talking about the admin on WTF. Like they've
okay.
gotten some fucking weirdos on there now that I'm not happy with. Like, and they don't like. It's just like people first. Like,
Well,
what
and
the
that's what
fuck are you talking about?
That's why individuals like us that have experienced combat for a long period of time need to set some reality checks. Just recently going through a training exercise, they simulate taking a casualty. And what do I have everybody doing? Everybody's sitting there focusing on the casualty. Why? No. The first step of casualty care is not to treat the casualty. The first step of casualty care is prevent more casualties.
correct.
Okay?
People first.
Something happened to
No,
that
buddy,
individual.
no, bro, come on.
I guarantee you, if anyone in Colonel Ryan's fucking emails got the WTF, they would blast that shit and say that, oh, look at this guy doesn't care about fucking casualties. I almost got fired under the Colonel Ryan doctrine because I told the fucking fat ass sergeant major at JRTC, I go, fuck that guy. I was like, we're not even done with the mission yet. If he dies, he fucking dies. And then,
That was a long night.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you don't care about your men. I'm like, no,
Buddy,
I care about the guys
I think-
still alive.
Let me give you,
Buddy,
can
I real quick?
An
Buddy,
experience
can I real
that
quick?
I had.
Buddy.
Dumpster fire,
Hold on,
Mike. This is the dumpster fire.
Please.
So, let me give
Real
you
quick.
a real quick experience I had, and then tell me whether I pick mission or people first. Okay. So we're on a range. We take a casualty, right? A training casualty.
OP-13.
It was
Seven,
out of the
range
NPA.
7.
Anyway, so we're moving back, right? And the
Yep.
guy that's overseeing us says, and I'm the squad leader at this point. The guy that's overseeing us says, "Hey, you've got enemy like red air is on the way in. They're going to carpet bomb where you're at. You've got X amount of time to get back to this area."
Yep.
Cool. We start moving faster. We start fucking pulling a bit. Speed is our security. Throwing people out a little bit, full security, whatever. Then we get told, "Hey, there are X amount of trucks." We're moving as fast as humanly possible at this point, carrying a casualty that wasn't even in our squad. He was a guy on the overweight program that they put in our squad so that he could be a casualty. So we're carrying this dude back, right? We get to a certain point.
It sounds like great training. This is actually great training.
This is good training.
That is actually a great TTP.
Exactly. They put people first on that training.
We are not going to make it across this road before this
Right.
armor column cuts us off.
Right.
So, as a squad leader, I say, put this motherfucker in a bush, get a fucking grid, we're out. We'll come back and get him when we can get him.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So, in my head, we absolutely cannot move faster than we're moving with this casualty.
Yep.
So, I have a choice between the people that are alive, getting them back, and this guy who's already critically injured, making us all fucking stay there and have to fight for somebody who's probably not going to make it anyway.
Right.
We get back, and this guy starts ripping me up and down, up one side and down the other one, because we don't leave a fallen comrade.
No, buddy. And I think that's where I think we're different on this, because where you're going at, real quick, where you're going with this, I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
I guess we got to talk about the
Go back to
levels.
the start. Dave, draw the line.
No, are we at the starting line?
Starting line. You're taking over a new unit. You're taking over a new unit, and you're preaching people first or mission first, which are both super important. But if you're
Who
taking
gives a
over,
fuck what I'm preaching? What am I doing?
I'm
That's what fucking matters.
Shit.
I agree with you in this situation, buddy. I agree with you 100%.
No, you don't get to play that game, Dave. You don't get to play
you talking
situation-based
about
I
leadership.
can play whatever game I want, bro.
Situation-based leadership is not.
You know what I would whole lots rather.
No,
do?
shit.
I would whole
Either-
lots rather.
No.
Either you're going to accomplish the mission with the people you have, or you're not.
I would whole lots rather get to a unit, walk into that unit the same way I've done in almost every
The
unit
fucking
that I've
Monday
gotten
morning
to and
quarterback
taken
over
over.
here.
Walked in and said, "Hey, I'm Sergeant Beckwith. You guys are going to get to know me. That's it. Let's go out and do PT. Let's go out and fucking train.
Let me bring up my friend Blake. Let me bring up my
Right. We could pick this all apart.
Hey, you guys know Blake Wise, right? Blake Wise.
Like you act like people first is like some bitch ass thing that I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna be all soft on everybody.
Oh,
like
you are kind of soft.
I've been very successful my entire career, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it's
including when I was your platoon sergeant.
It's not hard to be successful, telling people to get a job, so it's like, but anyways.
Come on, bro.
You're a master sergeant that goes to work, so let's not talk about successful. All right, so like
I still go to work, and I'm retiring soon.
When you're a master sergeant, you don't show up to work. It's like a warrant officer. You don't even show up. But like,
I love this, man.
This
is why I love this group, man. This is great.
Yeah, it's like the best rank I ever had was master sergeant. It's like, what do you do? Nothing. Like
best rank I had was team leader.
No, that's fine. Way so much.
P5 or squad leader.
Way too much responsibility, right? So like, just like weapons squad leader is the best job ever. But
we saw that in Baghdad.
Yeah,
I didn't do shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, no, you're like in a kinetic environment. It's awesome. So. But yeah,
it's been a good conversation.
But let's let Buddy.
CSM Burke was like wanting to chime in.
No. He's going to be an asset to Veteran Trash Talk here in the future when he retires. So we're gonna bring him on. And
I was going to be the odd man out and just say the best job I ever had was being a CSM.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
I like that.
Yeah.
Because you got the positional power, and I'm using that word very, very purposely to actually make shit happen.
Boom.
Right? Like you struggle throughout your entire career. You see dumb shit all the time, right? You're like, God, I can't do anything about it, And then, you're a first sergeant and everybody wants everything from you, access to all your people. And it's just on the fringes where it's on enough people that it like drives you crazy and you're dealing with all their stuff, but you can't necessarily always get the things done that you want to get done. When you're a CSM, you can. And you're like, what's your issue? We're not doing that anymore. We're doing this. Sir, you good with that? Does it affect anything?
And you also don't forget where you came from. Yeah.
Well, you have to be successful. But yes, so sorry. Just when we talk about like, people first, mission first, that was a fun little deviation that we had there. You're the dude that provides the resources in the environment where people can get after it. Whichever one they believe in. You can help them get after it because you can provide the resources and create the environment for it.
For sure. And then
I like it.
And then again, anybody who's had a good sergeant major before knows that that's like you said at the beginning of the show was what a sergeant major's responsibility is, what their role is. And if you can have that, which we had for the most part of our career, Dave and Buddy, I can probably name about 3 bad sergeant majors that I had. Right, but I can name about 15 good ones.
For the most part, we were squared away. Yeah,
and like a lot of them were really squared away. And then again, situational leadership, Dave. That's a tough one to argue because, like, dude, that was that moment in time. Like, does that mean he's a bad leader? Probably not. Like, have you done it 16 times in a row? All right, time to go, homie. Like, dude sucks. But hey, buddy, give us the AAR.
Oh, dude, recap?
Yeah.
Bob Lazar, buddy.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar.
First of all, there are fucking scientists that are angry at Area 51. They're mad as fuck. Secondly, therapy is a good thing. Nick said so. Go get it. Right? Like, people first. Thirdly, where are we at? We're at third. We're at the starting line. I'm gonna go. You know what?
I think that was 5. But yeah, three's good.
Starting line of the recap is right here. All right. Let's see. Competitive yoga. I'm the champion. It's undebatable.
Where are the links? Buddy?
It's easy to be first when no one else is doing it.
Buddy, where are the links? Put it on a plug.
So you don't have to point out the nuances of my argument there, Sergeant Major. Calm down. Yeah, I'm the only one doing it. That's why I'm the goddamn champion. You want some of this? Come fucking yoga with me. I'll fucking yoga your dick off, dude. You don't even want none of this. Anywho.
There's no response to that.
Cut the show.
Legends. Tune into Legends of the 75th podcast. Learn about some real Rangers, not guys that just went to Ranger school like Nick.
Or our eyes.
Yeah, Joey, that doesn't count. You weren't in the actual
Yeah,
regiment. All right, so
I can't be on the podcast.
and last thing, well, not last thing, second to last thing. Sergeant Major Burke has weak exits. He loses 240s. Never trust that. And then the starting line. People first. That's all you can choose. You can only choose people first.
Oh, buddy.
Well done, buddy. Well done, buddy. Well done. Well done.
Look
Good
over.
AR.
Check us
Good
out
AR.
on all the stream platforms. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah,
Oh, you already covered it. I'm
Yeah,
not
Mike,
even
Mike
closing
gets the
this
last
out
word
anymore.
before Dave
Yeah,
closes
Mike,
this out.
no, I'm not even closing anybody out.
Okay, I'll close
No,
it
you
out.
got
Mike,
to,
Mike,
yeah.
give the
Mike.
last word. Where do we find your podcast at? And anything else you want to say?
Yeah, so I mean, since we got two podcasts, it's probably best just to go on social media. But if you Google search Always in Pursuit podcast or Legend of the 75th podcast, you'll find both of them. But hey, I appreciate it, gentlemen. Awesome discussion. A lot of jackassery, which is just classic with veterans. But, maybe we solve the problems of the world. So love what you're doing and appreciate the support.
Absolutely. So again, hey, probably no show next week as we'll all be in New York, but we will still have our fight show, and then hopefully Monday morning Throat Punch comes back. Len's been pretty busy, but she has an awesome show. When she comes out with another one, it should be hot. And then we have Clifford Bauman's Mental Health Warrior, and we have the Stoned Vet USMC. He's gonna
Check out Sunday service with
yeah,
Meg and Meg.
well, you haven't come out with a show in fucking weeks, but anyway, so Bill
We got
Nye,
like 6 of them.
Bill Nye, the science guy of cannabis, is our Marine Corps veteran. Again, he's not a doctor, so don't have to listen to him, but he does give his opinion on cannabis and all the stuff that the benefits that he thinks are there. So check those out on Wednesdays for Marine Corps Wednesdays, and we will see you guys probably in 2 weeks.